Buffalo Bills rookie wide receiver Keon Coleman can be a huge impact player in his rookie season in 2024 if the Buffalo Bills do what? We're going to explain that and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a senior draft analyst, and thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Strive for being our everydayers. You know, I got to kick this intro to my guy, Mr. LSU himself, Keith Sanchez. You can find and follow him on X at The Talent Code. Keith, talk to him, baby.
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. This is Keith Sanchez, 2019 national champ, and the other side to this dynamic duo that we like to call the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, where we're your number one source for everything NFL draft content-wise. Yes, it's always draft season over here, 24/7, 365 DP. We're talking Keon Coleman with the Buffalo Bills. What is going to be his rookie impact? Is it going to be rookie of the year? We're going to talk about that. Then, who's going to have the biggest second year? Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson. We're going to have this conversation. And then, is it a make or break situation for Treylon Burks? Is it time to trade him? What is his role? What is his role now with the Tennessee Titans? I want to say shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. Hit that like button. Make sure you comment and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel with the best NFL content there is out there. But with DP, let's go ahead and get this conversation started, man. Keon Coleman's impact with the Buffalo Bills offense. What is the expectations?
Expectations, I'm not expecting him to come in and be wide receiver one out the gate, right? Because that's just a tall task, a tall order to ask of him. But I expect Joe Brady, and what I always tell Joe Brady, Keith, that's your boy, that's your homie from LSU, right? I would tell him, go look at how Sean McVay used Puka Nacua. Go and watch some Brandon Marshall. This was, and I never thought about it until I saw you mention Brandon Marshall. The horizontal routes, the end cuts, the slants, the crossers, those type of things where, you know, Puka Nacua ran a 4.56 at his pro day, right? He didn't run at the combine. He ran a 4.56 at his pro day. So Keith, you pretty sure you and I both know if he ran if he did it at the combine, he was probably gonna run 4.6 at the combine, right?
Yep.
Like, it just is what it is. But you still see him able to win vertically, even though he's not the most explosive or dynamic receiver, right? How does he do that? Tempo, pacing, understanding how to win at the line of scrimmage. Yes, it's cool to be able to run by someone, but can you get someone's hands off of you when they want to be physical? Can you out physical your opponent? And if you want to get up on the line of scrimmage and be like that with Puka, he can't quickly win and stack and get in front. Same thing that Keon Coleman can. But with Brandon Marshall is so good, not just in the red zone on fade routes, but those slants, being that power forward of sort, right? Throw it to me in the paint. Let me post this guy up and be that bigger body. And then even watching the clips of Keon Coleman at OTAs. Keith, I'm telling you, this is where the conversation about Keon, it got wild. Because, yeah, he may be a 4.61, 40-yard dash guy, but, he's quick twitch in short to intermediate, those short bursts in short areas. So his ability to break off routes, he can do it with quickness. And even Josh Allen said, man, he's run some good routes out here. So I'm going to tell you right now, if they want for him to make that impact, Keith, I want him used like Brandon Marshall, used like Puka Nacua. Even, you know, I love what I saw from Michael Wilson and how he was able, that was another guy, 4.5 something, you know what I mean, in terms of the 40. But how he was able to win with route tempo, pacing, body positioning. There's more ways to win as a receiver than running a 4.3.
Yeah, so to answer this question, expectations and what is his impact going to be, right? I think you have to go to this wide receiver core. And outside of Keon Coleman, it's Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Chase Claypool, Mac Hollins, right? That's their top 5 guys. So you ask me, is it kind of wide receiver one, right? Like there's the opportunity for him to get a Lord. I mean, and obviously Dalton Kincaid, right, playing the tight end position. But I'm expecting 80 plus targets, right, as a rookie. And you look for situations where there's a vacancy, there's talent, there's a good quarterback, right, to get him the football. And for me, that's a good recipe, right? And when I look at Keon Coleman, he's in a great situation because he steps in where there is no true wide receiver one there. We could say that even if he isn't wide receiver one, there isn't a wide receiver one there, right? And then so he has the opportunity to get high volume of targets. He has a quarterback that's shown the ability to throw the football, right? Josh Allen, two high volume guys, right? Like consistently get them the football. So I would go as far, and maybe this could be a bold statement, right, to put in the conversation of offensive rookie of the year. Like I think that's very realistic because of what his potential target share could be, right? Like they're who else are they going to throw the football to? I don't know if Khalil Shakir is going to elevate, and we know that I like Khalil Shakir as a football player, but is he going to elevate to this team's, reliable wide receiver one, third down guy, do it all? Is that going to be Marquez Valdez-Scantling? That hasn't been him his entire career. Then I look at this wide receiver core as it's built. I feel like Marquez Valdez-Scantling is going to try to be a field stretcher. They may try to use Chase Claypool as a field stretcher, right? Curtis Samuel as a field stretcher, right? And then now Keon Coleman, he's that short to intermediate guy like we talked about, right? Which those quick slants, those RPO, situations, right? Where it's the handoff, Josh Allen quickly pulls that thing and then throws the quick slant right behind it. That's all Keon Coleman's. That's where he lives at anyway. Plus the 50-50 balls that Josh Allen can give him. So I'm gonna go as far as to say what did Michael Jordan say? Like the sky is the roof is the ceiling, something like that. I think it could be that high, DP. Whatever Michael Jordan was talking about, I think that's what Keon Coleman could do.
That's still one of the wildest quotes of all time when MJ said that. I'm like, bro, what are we doing, MJ? Not like, but I agree with you to in that extent, Keith. Even like Curtis Samuel, right? He's that like kind of do it all. He's not like Deebo Samuel where he's like taking handoffs, but he was that kind of guy coming out of Ohio State, where he wasn't like a pure thoroughbred receiver. He was a do it all guy, right? You motion, manufacture, touch. Same when we talk about it with Malachi Corley on earlier this week. It's kind of a similar situation to that like from yesterday's show. Just get the ball to him in space and let him win, and let him win in a variety of ways. And I think about it, Keith, when you have, like you said, that Chase Claypool, that thing about one of those MVS, right? Play action, backside post. Then you got the front side dig from Keon Coleman. Right, so that post is doing what? Taking that safety and running that safety off, right? Opening that drill shot from Josh Allen right to Keon Coleman, and then giving and creating that lane and that space for yards after the catch. Because that's the other thing. You want to get the ball into Keon Coleman's hands. This is a kick and punt returner who does it at a high level. Right, his spatial awareness, his ability to make guys miss for a 6'3", 6'4", 215-pound receiver. You don't see that often. That guys that know how to evade and be elusive as well as being strong and physical. And then at the same time, you see him when he does get an open field and that stride opens up. He's not caught all the time. So even with the 40 time, I don't care about it because it's like, well, did he get run down from behind a lot in college? No, like he still, when he stacked guys and got in front, he typically was able to maintain the lead, right? Like you don't want to get walked down in the final stretch of the 100. He still was able to maintain the league and cross the goal line. So I just think that there's so many ways that for him and so many paths for him to be successful. If you're worried about him against press coverage, right? I said the same thing about Xavier Leggett. Again, look, watch Puka Nacua. Sean McVay said, now he could beat press, but the same way I do for Cooper Kupp, I do for you. I'll make your job easy. I'll motion you, short motion, zipper motion, quick motion, get you off the line and give you a free release and let you get into your route quicker, and then makes yourself available. So that the paths for success for Keon Coleman are there. I think Dalton Kincaid will be the top target, but I think Keon Coleman, we fast forward to week 18, he's leading those receivers in targets, yards, and probably touchdowns.
Yep, and that's a perfect recipe right there for potentially offensive rookie of the year. And we'll see how that thing goes, and we'll see how it plays out. Right, it's just a really good situation, and we the same people that sat here right and said, "Hey, we like Jordan Addison, didn't necessarily love him, but we seen him get drafted to the Minnesota Vikings, and was like stock all the way up on this situation because, like we always say, man, situations matter for players." But DP, let's keep this thing going and flowing, man. And we're on to what the running backs, because this is a running back supportive podcast, man. We support the running backs over here. We're going to talk about Jahmyr Gibbs versus Bijan Robinson. Who do we think is going to have the bigger second year?
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your number one ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your number one ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Keep your number one ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Bigger second year in the NFL. Two highly talented running backs, two running backs that were drafted in the top 15 picks in the 2023 NFL draft. Jahmyr Gibbs for the Detroit Lions and Bijan Robinson for the Atlanta Falcons. And when you look at their numbers, especially from a rushing standpoint, right, we know, Keith, remember, there was a lot of panic early in the season when David Montgomery was the lead back for the Detroit Lions. And if you check my Twitter, I was sitting there just calm, cool, and collected. I wasn't worried because I was like, I understood he's a rookie. Like, they're going to get him involved. Keith, in 2023, Jahmyr Gibbs had 182 rush attempts for 945 rush yards, averaged over 5 yards per attempt, and he had 10 rushing touchdowns. Right? This is for a guy that did not get a lot of run early on. He also tapped in with 52 receptions on 71 targets for 316 receiving yards and a touchdown. And I think that is going to go up if they definitely go ahead and start featuring him deeper down the field. When you look at Bijan got the ball kind of out the gate, but even then, Arthur Smith was like, I got Tyler Algier, who ran for 1,000 yards for me the previous year, and it's going to be a kind of 50-50 share. Bijan Robinson, 214 carries, 976 yards, only 4 rushing touchdowns, and he averaged 4.6 yards per attempt. But the pass catching ability, 58 receptions on 86 targets, 487 yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. Keith, when you look at these two highly talented and, to me, I say complete running backs for both guys, 3 down runners, Keith, who do you think is going to have the bigger year in 2024?
I'm going with Bijan Robinson. And this is no slight to Jahmyr Gibbs. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. This was when he first got to Alabama. Remember that when he transferred, I'm like, this has the opportunity to be an explosive situation. So been a fan of Jahmyr Gibbs all the way, honestly, since high school, since he was at Duluth High School. So it's no slight to him. I'm going to say Bijan Robinson because of this situation, DP. They have a new OC in town, right, who was at the Los Angeles Rams. And I think I'm feeling bold today. I'm feeling bold because the statement that I'm about to make is pretty bold too. I can see Bijan Robinson having one of those Todd Gurley with the Los Angeles Rams type of years, DP. With this, this run game, right? This zone stretch. I think it's gonna be very beneficial for him, right? And then you also have Kyle Pitts, Drake London. We've seen the clips already, right? Kirk Cousins able to throw the football. It's gonna be a very balanced situation for him. So I think it's Bijan Robinson. I think he's going to get a whole lot more carry. I think that he almost had him and Jahmyr almost had the opposite seasons, right? Where he started off hot, kind of phased out towards the end. It seemed like the offense became really stale. There was a couple injuries invoked in there, and then Jahmyr started off slow and then finished off hot. So I think Bijan Robinson is going to have a complete year. I expect both of these guys to be potential Pro Bowl players, be Pro Bowl running backs because they're that skilled. But I think Bijan is probably going to have the better year.
Yeah, I agree with you, Keith. And you brought up Todd Gurley, and the year I immediately knew what year would be, kind of reminiscent for Bijan. It was 2017, where Todd Gurley had 1,300 yards rushing and 788 yards receiving. So, like, just to be a complete and utter weapon, and they still had weapons receiving wise on that Rams team, and he still almost had 800 yards, through the air. And I think the departure of Arthur Smith, who with Zach Robinson, he was the OC. I mean, he was there, I think it was a QB coach, may have been for Sean McVay. What did we see from Kyron Williams in 2023, right? Third leading rusher in the NFL. And I think Bijan Robinson, now, don't get me wrong, I think they're still going to use Tyler Algier, but I think that split is going to go from 50-50, and I ain't even going 60-40. Give me 80-20 because Bijan needs to have the ball in his hands. And when you have a player like that, you don't, and I'm not saying like you protect him, in terms of, hey, we trying to make a playoff push. You want him to be healthy down the stretch. So, yeah, you get Tyler Algier going. But, man, you got to get him more and more touches. This is an elite running back. Like, honest to God, we got Christian McCaffrey. You still got King Henry, right? Nick Chubb, if he can return back to form and health. Bijan Robinson is arguably a top 3 running back right now. Like, you know what I mean? Just straight up, like top 3 running back. Matter of fact, the only running back that resembles Christian McCaffrey is Bijan Robinson. So when I look at it, yeah, I think I'm picking Bijan as well. I do, like you said, I think Gibbs is going to have a big year still. I'm interested to see, because this is a different skill set for Ben Johnson, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like in Jahmyr Gibbs, I want to see how early he gets Jahmyr Gibbs going now that he's seen what he can do. How early can you get the young man rocking and rolling in the season? And also, let's get the downfield targets. Let's get him targeted more down the field. I think he averaged like six yards per catch in 2023, while Bijan was closer to he was around 8.5, right? No, yeah, because you know what? Even though Desmond Ridder wasn't a good quarterback last year, he still targeted Bijan Robinson down the field. I want to see Jahmyr Gibbs get involved like that too. But I will 100% agree with you, Keith. I think Bijan, mainly because I think Zach Robinson and Raheem Mostert are going to feed him the rock. Like, even because at the end of the day, it's like, all right, we got Drake London, we got Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts looks healthy finally, right? He looks healthy and he has an accurate quarterback. So it's like, all right, so we got those guys. You brought in Rondale Moore to be kind of that gadget type of receiver, slot receiver. Am I really going to dwindle Bijan's touches and split those carries with Tyler? No, I'm giving it to Bijan.
It's like basketball. It's like baseball, right? And you have to look at it in the same context that there's not a infinite amount of snaps in the game, right? It's just like a infinite amount of shots taken in basketball. Is that if I let somebody else shoot it, I'm taking it out of my star's hand, right? So if who do I want to shoot the basketball, right? Do I want it to be, Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, or do I want it to be, just a good role player, but he's capable of making shots? It's like, no, I want to put it in my best player's hand. And I think that's how you have to think about it, is that every time you call a running play and give the football to Tyler Algier, that's a potential running play where you could have had a home run, right? Because at the end of the day, I think we feel like this, that Tyler Algier is a good single and double guy. Bijan Robinson can get you the triples, can get you the home runs, can totally flip a game on his head at any given moment. Baby. Yeah, 100%. So you definitely want to look at it like that. But DP, coming up next, man, we have an interesting conversation. We're talking about make or break for a guy that just a few years ago was drafted to replace A.J. Brown, and that's wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans, Treylon Burks, right? In his make or break year, we're going to talk about him, just the draft process, the rookie profile, where he is now, and what is the expectations coming into this year.
Today's episode is sponsored by Yahoo Finance. When it comes to your financial future, you think you've done it all. You've saved, you've researched, you've invested all that you can. Now you need to take those investments to the next level by using what every financial great uses, Yahoo Finance. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you the tools and data that you need in one specific place. Okay, they are the #1 finance destination, producing holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analysis, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. With a community of over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you find your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com. That #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot, for being our everydayers. Make or break season for about to be third year wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans, Treylon Burks. And for some numbers, from a number standpoint, he's played 22 games, 11 each season. He has 49 receptions on 84 targets for 665 receiving yards and only 1 touchdown in 2 whole seasons. In 22 games, only 1 touchdown. Keith, when you look at this situation, right? Calvin Ridley just got paid $75 million guaranteed. You bring in Tyler Boyd. You brought in DeAndre Hopkins last year. They still got the slot receiver Kyle Phillips from, I think, UCLA that they drafted a year or two ago. Is this truly a make or break season for Treylon Burks, Keith?
And without a doubt, and I honestly believe that last year was a make or break season, based off of what they've done in the offseason, right? The Calvin Ridley situation, they went and did that, right? Like, that wasn't something, they went and made that happen. And then the Tyler Boyd situation, I don't think anybody expected the Tyler Boyd situation. They went and did that, right? They said, hey, we're going to get Tyler Boyd. DeAndre Hopkins, made sure that they secured him for this year also. So he comes in as wide receiver 4. If you're talking off of proven ability, right? He's wide receiver 4-ish. And he's still talking about Kyle Phillips, who can play in the slot. But the thing I wanted to get into is that if the Tennessee Titans hold on to him, and you go back to the draft, you go back to what I thought he was, because I had him at the Draft Network. I did the deep dive on him. I thought he was a build-up speed, vertical stretch guy that didn't have the same type of suddenness, right? And that's why I remember we placed a couple little, fun wagers, little bets, right? About, what will Treylon Burks run in a 40? Because remember at that time, DP was talking about he may run a 4.3 run and a 4.33. And I'm like, I just don't see that speed. And I bet that he's going to run a 4.5. And I believe that he came in with was it a 4.5 or a high 4.4, something like that?
4.52, somewhere in there.
I know it was disappointing from the 4.3 that everybody thought. And so also, the speed was one thing, but then also it was the usage at Arkansas. He was a high volume, high target guy, but they also did so many different things with him. When you're talking about, jet sweep motions, you're talking about bubble action, you're talking about lining up him in the backfield. So I look at this situation with the Tennessee Titans, and I'm like, maybe his role becomes more of the gadget guy, right? And we invoke this name for everybody, but why couldn't it potentially be that way for Treylon Burks? And that's the Deebo Samuel role. Why can't he get some handoffs? He's 230, 5, 2, like, he's a big boy, right? 235 pounds, right? Let him get a couple handoffs. Let him do a couple things out of the backfield, right? And then, give him the short to intermediate throws, quick screens. Let him be a run after the catch guy. So maybe because I always felt like this about Treylon Burks. And even, remember, it came up during the combine. He was the guy that Michael Irvin pulled to the side and was trying to show how to run routes. Remember that? And that was also a concern I had about him, having to develop to become a true #1. It had also, one, to do with the situation, but 2, to deal with that he still had to develop as a wide receiver, right? Route running and, hand placement and things like that I think, DP, that maybe a smaller role is actually a bigger role for him because he can have a more nuanced and detailed role, right? A more specific role, which could be which could be better for him overall.
Yeah, I 100%. I agree, Keith. I think it is a make or break season for him, and it's just tough because when you bring in that much competition, you're bringing in proven playmakers.
That's
right?
the point. This is not like, okay, so this is not Chase Claypool, right? Tyler
Right.
Boyd has proven that he's a consistent wide receiver, right? Like Kelvin really has proven he's consistently wide receiver. DeAndre Hopkins has proven that he deserves to go to the Hall of Fame, right? So this is like you're when you brought those guys in, you bumped him down the depth chart automatically.
Yeah, no, without question, immediately, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so you brought in, and I know the optimism was there for last year because okay, we bring in DeAndre Hopkins, that'll free him up, but then also he's been hampered by injuries, right? It's 16, 17 games a season. He's played 22 in 2 years. He's missed it, like he averages what 3 to 5 games missed a year right now. So like the injury. The injuries have kind of kept him off the field, slowed down that development. And I remember, his pre-draft stuff because I gave him I gave him a late 1, early 2 when he came in. I said, okay, I see the path for him being developing into a big time playmaker, right? Big, strong, ball skills, open field, build up speed, be able to create after the catch and everything. That's where he really thrives. But I was like, the nuance, the route running, the tempo, the pacing, beating press coverage, like those things weren't there, even though he played in the SEC, but it was because of how Arkansas utilized him and deployed him. So it was like, okay, now we fast forward and those questions haven't been answered because he hasn't been on the field consistently enough. And then, the quarterback play, I think it's improved with Will Levis in terms from a talent standpoint, but is this going to work out? I don't know. And does he even fit this kind of Callahan West Coast timing and rhythm offense in terms of Treylon Burks? And I'll say this, Keith, I think they should shop him. And I know DeAndre Hopkins just came out and said, somebody asked him at the practice, do you think that we're sleeping on Treylon Burks? He said, well, I know we're not in the locker room. We know what he can do. We're not sleeping on him. Maybe you guys are, the media. And I'm like, I hear you. That's a great leadership quote, and that's a great teammate thing to do. I'm saying this. I think that they should probably shop him.
It's one of those things where
success.
Based off of their actions, you just simply say, ask the front office, right? I wish the reporter could ask the front office.
What did you say about the San Francisco 49ers when teams are talking? We should listen.
We should listen.
I'm just saying they brought in a lot of receiver help over the last year. You know what I mean? Over the last 2 off seasons, 3 new receivers: Hopkins, Ridley, and Boyd. I think we should probably listen to what the front office is saying. So I think that they should probably try and shop him. And I get it, right? You don't want to take the L, but man, so what? If you can get a 4th round pick from a team, I will call up the Arizona Cardinals right now and say, listen, man, you know what I mean? I know you brought in Marv, you got Michael Wilson, you got Greg Dortch, who, you brought in Zay Jones, which is a good veteran depth piece. Outside of that, who you got in that receiver position? You know what I mean? Like, where I would pitch to you, give me a 5th round pick for next year and take Treylon Burks. And I think Kyler Murray and what they do over there could absolutely benefit a Treylon Burks. And then he walks into that. Even though he's been in the league 2 years, going on 3, defenses are still going to try and double Marv instead of him. So now you still get an opportunity, and he probably takes that big. And that's the other thing, Keith. He might be better suited as a power slot where he has that 2-way goal. Well, he works the middle of the field, and he gets run after catch opportunities.
And that was my point, right, with him, is that's what he did at Arkansas too. Like they put him in advantageous situations to be the one. Like he played that power slot, tight end, gadget role, handoffs. Like he did all of that. And now you're asking him just to line up in a condensed box, playing the XY receiver, run all of the routes, and get open, which that wasn't something he never did. I ain't gonna say he never did, but he didn't do it at a high clip, right? That's not what made him a potential 1st round pick and everybody loved him. It was the fact of, man, he got so much usage, right? But it was the same thing when we talk about production and manufactured production, right? Yes, he's a good athlete, but it was a lot of manufactured production at Arkansas. So you have to figure out how to manufacture those touches. So, like I said, I look at it similar to the Malachi Corley situation. I feel the same exact way about Malachi Corley as how I felt about Treylon Burks, right? Like I probably second roundish type players, maybe top of the third, whatever. But if you don't manufacture the touches for them early, you may not get a lot out of them early because there's still some development that has to do. So when you draft him, you have to draft him with a plan. The plan to draft him and make him the AJ Brown replacement was never a great idea.
That was set up from the get, man.
Yeah,
like
it was never.
You got Vrabel about to flip the entire table in the draft room. He has to take a lap to walk to the door, speak to himself to calm down, then walk back because you just traded his best receiver that you didn't want to pay, and then you draft a receiver who's extremely raw to now fill those shoes. This young man was set up from the get-go. He's talented, but again, Keith, I don't see a path for success right now with Ridley, with Hopkins, and even Boyd. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, what do you want to do for Will Levis? Give him proven guys that's going to be at the spot where they need them to be, on time, in rhythm. I don't know if Treylon Burks is going to be able to be that right now in this particular style offense. And if he isn't, then why keep him? Go ahead and make a trade, get an extra pick, and let's see if Will Levis is the guy. Because at the end of the day, you want to remove all excuses. And Will Levis has a lot of weapons right now that you can absolutely win with. We got to go do it, but I don't know if Treylon Burks is going to fit into that formula.
Yep, I agree 100% with DP. There we go, baby. That wraps up another episode of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to say shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. Hit that like button. Don't forget to comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel with the best NFL draft content there is out there. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we always like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Guys, have a happy weekend. Have a safe weekend. And come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.